as you know, this is the show that we've got on because of the Geelong Gallery, based on the Impressionists. And if you haven't been to the Geelong Gallery and bought this book, please do so. It's a wonderful read. We had this idea, or Soula had this idea, to get our artists to respond to the Impressionist period. And as you can see walking around the space, some were quite obvious, some a bit more abstract or inclining towards. And one of the artists that we've been showing here since opening is good friend and artist John Waller. And he's responsible for that beautiful piece there called Ballerine. And I just want John to say a few words about that particular work, your inspiration over the years, and how the Impressionist period inspired you. Welcome, John. Thank you.
All contemporary abstract painters, I owe an enormous debt to the Impressionists. They did something that nobody had really done before. They went outside. Most artists worked in their studios. So you can see the difference for artists who work in their studios who came here in colonial times, like Von Gerard. If you look at his pictures, they're kind of dark. If you look at the trees, you can't see through them. That's Europe. So the Impressionists come along, and they go to Box Hill and the Murrumbidgee and all about Australia. They go out in these painting camps. So they're out amongst their subject matter, but they're also experiencing the light. The light here is completely different to Europe. It's much brighter. And this comes across in some of their great paintings like...
It gives me great pleasure to know that the work that we do is in some way maybe not inspiring. I wouldn't go as far as saying that our work is inspiring, but has a ripple effect or creates creative exchanges and things like that. So it's really exciting for me to be able to...
Everyone would wake up at home, I would be up and pull open my little tray table and start sketching what was on the television. So that always seemed right for me. It always seemed like a normal thing to do. You know, I was watching Mr. Squiggle. You always wonder what his nose was going to be, waiting to see what Mr. Squiggle was going to reveal. But it wasn't enough for me to wait for him to see what he was going to reveal. I wanted to be Mr. Squiggle. I wanted to be the one doing the drawing. And so, of course, I went to art school, studied, lots of Byzantine elements that were always in my life and I love. And so then I got to Europe and I just thought, this is what I've been seeing, this is what I've been studying, and I just took off. The journal came out and I was just taking in the scene, taking in whether it was the building, whether it was the atmosphere, whether it was... And I just look back now and realise the Impressionists and what they did, it's just been a huge part of my practice. It's just always been there.
You can see mainly in his paintings the influence of light that John spoke about in Soula, and he's very, very well known for being a great painter, but what many people didn't know is that he was also a very, very magnificent draftsperson and printmaker. He spent some time in Queenscliff as a young boy because his father was the principal of one of the schools. He was also taught lithography printmaking by Troy Dell, who used to live at Clydesville House down on Jellybrain Street, so another connection. He came back as an adult artist and painted commissions for the Bagu family, so we have a little connection with the streams here. But the biggest connection was because the lovely people at Geelong Gallery said to William Street and the grandson, why don't you go and speak to Theo about a query you have? So
Cliff Hotel, Tammy spoke about, you talked about we needed each other. You really were talking about the ecosystem and the importance of strengthening the ecosystem, because then we all flourish. And your more is more. I always say that with art and with jewellery. But it's about how we actually strengthen our community, share the arts, educate people, because I know, John, we were talking around the importance of understanding the basic of techniques, around bringing people on the journey. And I absolutely understand the importance of the arts. It's what makes us human. It says sometimes what words can't say. It takes you to another place. And if I look at Queenscliff and I look at the relationship with the Geelong Gallery, how do we strengthen this? How do we look after the entire community so it flourishes on so many levels? And so I'm delighted to be here. I want to work with the community, but Theo and Soula, thank you for a beautiful morning, which has absolutely inspired me, but the story that you told, Theo, and the connections actually give me another level of understanding. And thank you for hosting us.
Pleasure. Thank you.